Last section, corrosion. Corrosion is the undesirable oxidation of metals. Think rusting. It's gradual, but it destroys the metal, and so then whatever you've created out of the metal is going to be compromised. And what I want you to get out of this section is just a basic understanding of how corrosion occurs and what sorts of things we can do to prevent corrosion. So, oxygen is easily reduced, and there's oxygen in the air. And so the oxygen can bring about the oxidation of other substances. So for most metals, if you pair their oxidation with the reduction of oxygen, it's going to be a spontaneous reaction. So even though metals are easily oxidized in the presence of oxygen, acid, and water, we still use metals as building materials, right? Some metals, like aluminum, kind of take care of themselves. When aluminum is oxidized, it forms Al2O3. And this is very inert, it doesn't react with stuff, and it's structurally solid. And so it forms a coating on the outside of the aluminum, which then prevents any further oxidation of the aluminum. With iron, this doesn't work because the oxides of iron, which we call rust, are flaky. They're not structurally sound. They tend to just fall away. They expose more iron, and then that iron can be oxidized. And the rusting just continues until it's all gone. So here we have a shed, obviously very old with broken windows, that has iron siding on it. And it's going to get rusty. And this is an illustration of the electrochemistry involved in the rusting of iron. We're not going to look at that in detail. You need some water present so that the electrons can move. And also water is part of the rusting process. We've got dissolved carbon dioxide is going to give us our hydrogen ions, because this will happen faster and more easily if it's in an acidic solution. So first you make Fe2 plus ions, and then those move a little bit, and then they are further oxidized to Fe3 plus. So the rust, this rust-colored substance that we see on iron that's exposed to the atmosphere, is a hydrated form of iron 3 oxide. There's not one specific formula. There are several different formulas, and so it's just going to be a mixture of those. Here we have a picture probably of a car, old car, and the paint has been scratched. And so we see that rusting has occurred where the paint has been scratched. How can we prevent rusting? Well, we can prevent moisture from getting to the metal. If there's no moisture, there can be no rusting. Because water is a reactant in the last reaction, and we have to have something that allows charge to flow, and that's one of the things the water does. If we have extra electrolytes in there, not just pure water, the rusting is going to happen more easily and faster. And so this is why cars, like from the Midwest, where they use salt on the roads in the winter to keep them from being so icy, you get salt water splashed up on your car. And so you find a lot of rust buckets in Minnesota. You also get more rusting of cars in coastal areas where you're not getting splashed with anything, but the mist that comes off the ocean has some salt in it. And so that's going to get on things and it's going to cause corrosion. The presence of acid also promotes rusting. So preventing the rusting of iron is a big industry. So there's different strategies you can use. You can keep the iron dry. One way to do that is to coat it with a substance like paint that's impervious to water. And then you're fine as long as that coating is intact. But you chip the paint and now you could have some rusting occur. You can place a sacrificial electrode in contact with the iron. So we're going to put a metal that is more easily oxidized in contact with the iron. And so this is going to be oxidized first rather than the iron. So it's kind of like a decoy. Here, go eat this other metal. Leave my iron pipe alone. Another strategy is to coat the iron with a metal that oxidizes more easily. And zinc can be used to do that. So these are galvanized nails. What does that mean? They are coated with a layer of zinc. Zinc does not corrode. And so that prevents, it does corrode, but it makes zinc oxide, which is like the aluminum oxide. It's a coating and is stable. So you get this zinc oxide coating on your nails, and that's going to protect the nails from rusting. Again, as long as the coating doesn't get damaged. Any questions?